path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin. And in the basement of that cabin is a princess. You're here to slay her. If you don't, it will be the end of the world. Yes, but you'll have to slay her before you get it. It's a secret, but I think you'll like it. It's a special reward, just for you. And whatever you think it might be, I can promise you it's going to be even better than your wildest imagination. You make your way up the short path to the cabin. You'll find the princess within. A warning before you go any further. She will lie, she will cheat, and she will do everything in her power to stop you from slaying her. Don't believe a word she says. We're not going to go through with this, right? She's a princess. We're supposed to save princesses, not slay them. Ignore him. He doesn't know what he's talking about. The interior of the cabin is almost entirely bare. The air is stale and musty, and the floor and walls are painted in a fine layer of dust. The only furniture of note is a plain wooden table. Perched on that table is a pristine blade. The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right. You take the blade from the table. It'd be rather difficult to slay the princess and save the world without it. The door to the basement creaks open, revealing a staircase faintly illuminated by an unseen light in the room below. This is an oppressive place. The air feels heavy and damp, a hint of rot filtering from the ancient wood. If the princess really lives here, slaying her is probably doing her a favor. Her voice carries up the stairs.
Who's there?
She sounds dangerous. It's almost as if she's the one in charge down here. Don't let it fool you. It's all part of the manipulation.
Oh, are you now? Why don't you come down and let me take a look at you?
Great job. You gave away the element of surprise. Good luck, hero. You walk down the stairs and lock eyes with the princess. There's a heavy chain around her wrist, binding her to the far wall of the basement. She's so coldly beautiful. Is she really a threat to the world? Focus on the task at hand.
You weren't kidding when you said you were here to kill me. That giant knife you're holding kind of gives it away, doesn't it?
The blade. Of course she doesn't want to talk. Who'd want to have a conversation at knife point? We should drop it. Don't you dare. It's fine. We can decide what we want to do after we talk to her. Maybe she really is a monster. Killing someone in cold blood isn't very becoming of us. The blade tumbles out of your trembling hands and drops to the floor with an unceremonious clang.
Thank you. Maybe now we can just talk.
Against your better judgment, you step forward to speak with the princess face to face, unarmed. We'll be fine. I don't know what you're hoping to accomplish here, but I can assure you there's no reasoning with her. Just make sure you don't forget about the blade on the floor. You're going to need it.
So here we are. What an awkward start to a relationship. Don't jump to any weird conclusions. We're two people who have met each other. By definition, we have a relationship. Do you? You're lying.
How does she know that?
Don't think that just because I'm the one in chains, it means you have a right to interrogate me.
She hesitates before answering.
You can address me as Your Royal Highness, or Her Majesty. Any honorific should do, really.
Note the lack of detail. You can't trust her.
Too long.
Again, she offers no specifics. No matter how hard you try, you'll never get a straight answer out of her. You can't. Don't bother.
I'm guessing you don't have the key then. I'm sure there's a key somewhere around here, and if there isn't... well, we can always put that knife to good use.
Her sharp eyes settle on the edge of the blade. She isn't suggesting what I think she's suggesting, right? She is. I'm sure of it.
Oh, have you decided what to do with me?
You know why you're here. Oh, you have to be kidding me. You walk up to the chains binding the princess to the wall and give them a tug. They're large and heavy, far too solid for you to even imagine trying to break them apart.
If you don't have the key, maybe you should go looking for it. I'm sure it's somewhere upstairs.
Doubtful. Whoever locked the princess away down here intended for her to never see the light of day. They wouldn't have just left the key to her chains somewhere in the cabin.
I'll be here.
You attempt to make your way out of the basement, but the door at the top of the stairs slams shut. You hear the click of a lock sliding into place. Is someone else here? Your shouts and pleas are met with silence. You're here to slay the princess, and you won't leave until the task is done. You try the door, but it's locked from the outside. I'll repeat myself once again. You're here to slay the princess, and you won't leave until the task is done. You make your way back to the bottom of the stairs. This would have been so much easier if you'd simply slain her like you were supposed to. Easier for whom? Easier for everyone.
I heard the door slam. They locked you down here too, didn't they? The knife. Pick it up and cut me out of here.
You won't like what happens if you do that. Against your better judgment, you place the blade against the princess's arm, just above the massive, unyielding chain. You cut into her flesh. The blade is sharp, and you make quick work of it. Before long, you're able to crack through bone, and she pulls the bleeding stub of her arm through the iron gauntlet. She didn't so much as utter a sound. Free from her bindings, the princess turns to face you, her fierce gaze meeting your eye. How is she so composed after losing an arm? It's like she isn't even bothered by it.
Thank you. Now let's get out of here.
No, we won't have any of that. The stakes are too high. You can't just let her escape into the world. No, I just can't let her escape into the world. As the princess approaches the bottom stair, your body steps forward and raises the blade. Wait, this isn't fair. You can't just do that. Watch me. Bring the blade down and plunge it into the princess's back. Finally. Okay. There's no going back now. Though the blade left a deep gash in her shoulder, she barely so much as flinches, turning around to stare at you incredulously.
Are you serious? I don't know what came over you, but if we're doing this, I guess I'll have to kill you. Do you think I need both of my arms to do that? I can beat you to death with one. But I don't have to tell you that. I'll go ahead and show you.
Thank you. You swing your arm towards her throat, the blade singing through the air. But she's ready for it. She grabs your arm, her grip like a stone vice. You drop the blade, pathetically. She lets go, and faster than you can react, rears back and hits you with a bone-shattering haymaker. There's a ringing in your ears. You're fairly certain you can feel bone grinding against bone where she fractured your jaw, but your body isn't allowing you to feel much right now. Adrenaline coursing through your system and numbing your nerves. You fall to your knees. You're barely able to bring your trembling arms up to defend yourself before she hits you again. Every blow is as punishing as the first. You feel bones shatter with every impact, unknown ruptures blossoming with blood somewhere inside of you.
You poor thing. I'll go ahead and put you out of your misery.
She places a confident heel on your chest and pushes you down to the ground. Her knee falls to your throat, your windpipe crushed beneath a weight you didn't think her slight form could possibly possess. It can't just end like this, right? I'm sorry, but it's over. Everything goes dark, and you die. the end of that path is a cabin, and you're here to slay her. If you don't, it will be the end of the world. It hasn't. Or if it has, I certainly haven't been a part of it. We've just met for the first time, you and I. If he doesn't remember what happened, then maybe it's best to keep it that way. You know I can hear you, right? It's going to be a lot harder than you think to keep secrets from me. What does it matter what he knows? There's nothing we can do to stop her. She's just going to kill us again. She is not going to kill you unless you let her. But slaying the princess and saving the world is going to be much more difficult than it has to be if you spend the whole time second-guessing yourself. Those are two very different questions, but fine, I'll indulge you if that's what it takes to get you moving. Let's say for a moment that this really is the second time you've met me, or at least a version of me. You died last time, which probably only happened because you didn't listen to me. Of course we died. She didn't feel pain. She didn't feel much of anything, did she? And she broke every bone in our body before she decided to let us die. What were we supposed to do to stop her then? What are we supposed to do to stop her now? It's pointless. She's just a princess. Slaying her shouldn't have been difficult, but congratulations. You've been given another chance to actually do this right. And I believe your other question was something along the lines of, oh, what's the point of doing anything? If you're asking that, it sounds to me like you're making the rather dangerous assumption that your actions last time around didn't have any consequences. What do you mean? Of course there weren't any consequences. The princess killed us and now everyone's right back where they started. That sounds pretty consequence-free to me. Yes, but in this purely hypothetical scenario, that begs the question of how you got back here. Did time simply rewind itself, or were you instead transported to a different world entirely? If it's the latter, what do you think happened after you died? Do you think the people there lived happily ever after? Or do you think that the princess, left unhindered, brought about the end to everyone and everything, just like I told you she would? If she ended the entire world, why should we even bother? We might as well just walk up to that cabin, break her chains and let her do whatever she wants. It's all the same in the end. Just because she's capable of ending the world doesn't mean you're not capable of slaying her. Both of those things can be true at the same time. So chin up. I believe in you. Just be quick about it. She is just a princess. Whatever you think happened to you last time, just get it out of your head before you get to the cabin and you'll be fine. Or we could pledge ourselves to her and stop pretending that we're capable of doing anything in this situation. She probably doesn't even need to try to overpower us. Can we tone down the pessimism just a smidge? I'm not being a pessimist. I'm just being realistic. You're being annoying. Just ignore their bickering, and whatever you do, don't pledge yourself to her. I cannot stress enough how absolutely catastrophic that would be for everyone, yourself included. People locked her in that basement, and I told you what this place is. It's a path in the woods. Don't overcomplicate things. Look, I'm not supposed to say this, but it's because you're special. You're the only person capable of doing this. Call it a prophecy, if that helps, but it's just the way things are. Oh, I didn't know we were special. Of course you're special. Why else would you be here? Who cares if you think we're special? As far as I can tell, the only thing special about us is that we get to experience painfully dying all over again. I've told you everything you need to know. Going into more detail would just overcomplicate an otherwise very simple situation and make your job more difficult. The less you know about her, the better. Like I said, if she killed you, it was probably because you didn't listen to me. Don't talk to her, don't trust her, just go in, do your job, and save the world. Great, now if you don't mind, the whole world is waiting with bated breath for you to save it from ruin. A warning before you go any further. She will lie, she will cheat, and she will do everything in her power to stop you from slaying her. Don't believe a word she says. Lying? Cheating? Why would she even bother? She didn't need to do anything like that last time. She caught us off guard last time. We'll be fine. Let's just keep our wits about us. At least one of you still has a shred of sense. Just make sure you listen to him and not that whiner. If that's what you want, I guess I don't have a say here. The interior of the cabin is larger and more grandiose than its humble exterior would suggest. The only furniture of note is a massive marble altar with a pristine blade perched on its edge. The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right. Why do we feel so small? We don't feel small. We are small. Maybe that's because you haven't actually been here. I hope this means you'll finally drop that ridiculous past life nonsense. You haven't died, and you certainly haven't been killed by the princess. You walk up to the wall next to the basement door. It's a wall. There isn't much to see here. What are you talking about? This isn't a wall. It's a mirror. Or at least it'll be a mirror once we wipe off that layer of grime. You reach forward and rub your hand against the cabin wall. I hope you know how ridiculous you look right now. We should count ourselves lucky. Some things are better left unseen. You take the blade from the altar. It would be difficult to slay the princess and save the world without a weapon. The door to the basement creaks open, revealing a spiral staircase. Its steps almost as deep as you are tall. The smell of incense drifts up from below. For a moment, you almost feel at ease. This is actually kind of nice. It's still a stone basement. If the princess lives here, slaying her is probably doing her a favor. Her booming voice rolls up the stairs.
Is that a guest I hear? Don't linger on the stairs. Come down and witness me.
You weren't kidding when you said it was booming. She wasn't like this last time. We need to get down there. She wants us to see her. We need to see her. Should we be worried about your sudden change in attitude? Just a few minutes ago you were going on about how pointless everything was. Now you want to go down there. It doesn't matter what that little voice says. He's not the one making the decisions. Though if his ramblings get you to the princess, they get you to the princess. Making your way down the spiral staircase is a time-consuming and exhausting effort, every step requiring you to clamber over one edge before dropping to the next. But soon the end comes into view, and you tumble to the bottom, entering the vast, temple-like room beyond. The princess towers over you, almost glowing in the weak starlight, her figure framed by a stained glass window. Her long hair billows around her, and a chain binds her wrist to the far wall. The chain is nothing to her. It might as well be a toy for all the good it would do. I told you it was pointless to resist her.
The little bird has returned to me. I wonder what he wants. You've brought that knife again, even though you know it's useless. Such charming audacity. Drop it.
As if on command, the blade slips from your grasp. It clatters uselessly to the floor. But we didn't drop it. We decided to grip it tighter, remember? Are you really just going to let that happen to us? I have a duty to report facts as facts, and the fact is that you dropped the blade. Of course we dropped it. She's so much more than us. You wouldn't understand what it feels like to be in her presence. Oh, I understand what's going on, and you'd better snap yourself out of it.
Kneel. Oh, are you still trying to defy me? I said kneel.
Your legs buckle, and your knees hit the floor.
That's my good little bird. Now, why don't we talk? The last time we met, you told me I was destined to end the world. That thought wrapped itself around my heart. It has pulled at me since the moment I squeezed the life out of your broken lungs. I could feel its fundamental truth awaken me. The collapse of the old is a necessary prelude to the birth of the new, and the world as it is now is overdue for alterations. It's time for me to seize my destiny, and you, little bird, will help me seize it.
Well, that gives away the game, doesn't it? It certainly does, and beyond that, it more than lends credence to our conversation in the woods. I don't love the thought that in some other reality you failed to destroy her, but what's done is done. I can only hope it helped you learn a valuable lesson. You are the only one who can deal with her, and if you don't, well, she's let you know what will happen, hasn't she? Then you shouldn't have trusted us with her destruction. She is inevitable. Can't you feel it? He's being melodramatic, but he's not exactly wrong, is he? What are we supposed to do to stop her? Okay, first things first, you're going to have to stuff those pessimistic thoughts someplace far, far away and commit yourself to what needs to be done. The stakes of the situation should be perfectly clear to everyone now. If you're going to save the world, you have to have faith that you can pull this off. You can't win a battle that you've already lost in your mind.
Know the limits of your privilege, little bird. There's an empty place at my side for you to fill, if you'll have it. But it is not a place for an equal. It is a place for something worthy to be kept. A priest, perhaps, or a pet. All you have to do is break these chains and set me free.
Don't be rude. Of course she can. It's not rude to question someone who's apparently trying to end the world. That's exactly why it's rude. We should know.
I can, easily. But that isn't what I want to do. The story of a terrible and bountiful god unbounded of her own will is no story at all. It's not worthy of everything I am or everything I'm bound to become. It isn't even worthy of what I was. The destruction in Genesis that's to follow in my wake is deserving of a song that can echo for eternity. The song of you being so struck by my glory, so overwhelmed by what I am, that you feel you must deliver me into the world. And from your act of utter devotion and submission springs a new dawn, a better dawn. Submit now, submit later. It makes no difference. Because in the end, no matter how vainly you struggle against me, my will triumphs over yours. This isn't about desire. This is about what I am. And I have little interest in discussing destiny with one that cannot see the divine truth that shines in my heart. I say, perhaps you need another lesson in submitting to your betters. Pick up that needle.
Do it. It's what she wants.
No objections here. I don't know what she's planning, and I don't like that we don't know what she's planning, but we might as well pick up the blade. As your eye falls on the blade, you feel a weight. Some divine hand that sits unperceived by your senses, but that manages to push you towards its desires like an unseen puppeteer. You reach forward and grasp the blade.
Stand!
This one's easy. See?
Okay, yeah. We can do that. We were probably going to stand anyway. You can feel a creaking tension between body and will as you slowly rise to your feet, like two foes forced into an unhappy truce. The princess eyes you with soft contemplation. The moment seems to last a lifetime, the silent anticipation of what's to come dragging out the long, painful seconds. But all silences are broken.
To define me is to claim we stand on level ground. We do not. You are quiet shadow, while I am brilliant radiance. Take that knife in your hand and slit your throat.
What? You don't have to listen to her. You're armed. Just steel your nerves, step forward, and end this.
Oh, we'll end this all right.
Your hand lifts the blade and brings it towards your throat. Okay, I apologize for the unclear language. End her. Your body is sluggish and unresponsive, actively fighting against you, but you do your best to stagger forward. One step at a time, you move towards the princess.
Slitting your throat would have been a mercy, but it seems you're in need of a harsher lesson. Plunge that knife into your lungs.
I'm sorry.
Don't! As you take another step forward, the blade digs into your ribs, slicing through flesh with ease. It somehow feels like an entirely natural thing to do, while the simple act of walking has become an arduous impossibility. Then it slides back out, the wound burning as a small hiss of air escapes through the fresh orifice. Blood fills your lungs.
Now, do it again. Keep doing it until I give you permission to stop.
Those are just words. You don't have to listen to her.
It's what she wants.
You, heroic one, what are you doing? Don't just let this happen. Stop him from killing you. I'm on it. Your other hand locks around your wrist, struggling to keep it from perforating vital organs. The blade still flails towards you, managing to slice bits of skin that plop to the floor to join the growing pile of blood and gore beneath you. Despite the pain, you manage to keep yourself in one piece, at least for now.
What a pitiful display. A wounded little bird, thinking it can defy a god. It doesn't have to be like this. It doesn't have to hurt so much. You can choose a gentle end. You can choose to leave that punctured vessel for the next. Or you can pathetically struggle against yourself until the floor of this temple is painted with the bloody impressions of your futility.
You continue to approach the princess, even as the repeated gouges of your blade expose bone and muscle to the open air of the basement. You know, this would be a lot easier if you gave us a hand. Influence only goes so far, and I can only juggle so many things at once. The best I can do right now is to continue to drive you forward. Believe me, this whole ordeal would be so much easier if I didn't have to contend with free will.
You're the one making things difficult. You're the one making us hurt. She doesn't want to hurt us. She's just doing what she has to.
Stop.
As you finish crossing the room, you fall to your knees at the princess's feet, your chest heaving as your blood pools in the crevices of the stone floor, the coppery taste coating your throat. The princess kneels down, lifting your chin with her finger as her face lowers to yours.
Your devotion is misplaced. You've surrendered to delusion. But something about your defiant spirit speaks to me. You are different than you were before. Perhaps, if you've learned your lesson, I can spare you from the release of death.
That's a little demeaning, isn't it? Yes, how thoughtful of her.
It's a mercy. Take it.
I think he's given up whatever say he had at the start of all this. At least one of you is sane. She's within striking distance, and she's only negotiating now because she knows you have what it takes to put an end to her. Seize the moment before it's too late.
No!
Yes, though your body trembles, struggling to defend itself in the face of the princess's overwhelming will, you finally manage to break through, darting to her side before she can react. The wind of your freedom rushes through you, and you channel it into a decisive blow, stabbing into the soft flesh of her ankle and severing the tendons in an act of unyielding defiance. She falls to the floor, crashing unceremoniously to her knees. But you don't give her any time to recover. Your heart pounding with determination, you plunge your blade into her chest. As you find your target again and again, she laughs, crude emotion breaking through her once stony composure as your blade cuts her flesh. We can do this, can't we? You always could. The decision to give you this task was not made lightly. You're here for a reason.
It's not too late to pick up the pieces. It's not too late to toss that blade aside and beg for forgiveness.
Shut up.
I can't believe you would actually strike me. You heathen! You worm! You defiler! You don't know the consequences of your arrogance!
Before you can strike the final blow, the princess lashes out, knocking you off your feet. There's an unsettling wet pop as your spine breaks, numbness and pain spreading through your body. As you rebound towards the ceiling in a moment of disorientated lightness, she drives her fist into your chest. Your body is crushed as she pulverizes you into the floor, the ground itself breaking from the impact. You lie there, broken, beyond pain, unable to even see what she's done to you. But the princess is succumbing to her own wounds as well. She looks down upon her body in abject horror and disgust.
You made me use my hands. I can feel myself twisting into something new, something dull, something defiled. What have you done to me?
You're monsters and conspirators. I can't bear to watch this.
The princess has been nothing but cruel to you. You should feel liberated by her fall.
But I don't feel liberated. I feel empty.
Aside from the pain, I feel fine. She collapses to the floor. Her glassy eyes watch, unblinking, yet somehow still full of anguish and fear, as the two of you perish together. I suppose we were never going to get a happy ending here, were we? Don't let those be your final thoughts. You saved the world. That's worth something. I guess. Regardless of how you feel about it, it's finally over. Thank you. You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of the path... Okay, what the hell is that? I think he's upset. What's he got to be upset about? We just killed a god!
Exactly. You heathens destroyed the most beautiful thing that ever was, and ever will be.
You're damn right we did. You'll get over it. Can't say I have much sympathy for you. She was bad for us and you almost got us killed. You're being too generous. He did get us killed. Alright, enough chatter. Got a thing I'm supposed to do, and if you don't mind, I'd like to do it without any more interruptions. Okay, great, you're listening. You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a... If your thing is telling us about the princess, don't waste your breath. We know all about her. It's hardly a path in the woods at this point, is it? Well, this is just great. Let me cut to the chase. Clearly you've already been here. Yeah, you think?
Actually, I don't think we have been here. This is all different, isn't it?
Yes, precisely. And if you'd given me 2 seconds to finish my thought, I would have said that. Oh, you're actually letting me talk now. Great. If you've already been here, it means you've seen things you aren't supposed to have seen, and you know things that you aren't supposed to know. This doesn't look like a path in the woods if reality seems distorted. It's because reality is distorted. So you knew this could happen. You knew we'd be able to restart like this. I know all sorts of things, which is why you should listen to me. That's not really an answer. Look, if the world around you is changing, especially all the way out here, then that means you're nearing the point of no return. Whatever happens next, that's it. There won't be any more do-overs. So you'd better take things seriously. Don't worry. We only need this one last go at things. You'd better hope that's true. And don't let that inflated ego get in the way of doing your job.
If there's still a princess at the cabin, maybe we can salvage things. Maybe if we just grovel and apologise, things can go back to how they were before.
Cut it out, will you? We need to be tough right now. You're making it so much harder than it has to be, so stop whining. Anything I say at this point is far more likely to accelerate the unravelling of this place than it is to actually help you do your job. In fact, I probably shouldn't have even said that. I trust that if you've been here before, it means you know how dangerous she is, and that you know I'm not lying to you about her. Really? That's it? That's all we're getting out of you?
He just wants to keep things going the way they are. But we've been given a second chance to do right by her. She can build something better than this. She can build something better than us. We just have to let her do it.
I get it, you're conflicted. You've been through a lot, but I really have to be firm here. I will tell you one thing, which is that even now you are capable of stopping her and saving the world from ruin. You always have been, and you always will be. Do with that what you will.
So what if I'm speaking my mind? It's not like I've ever really got to say anything.
What a crock of shit. Yeah, you stabbed us last time. Repeatedly.
It didn't even work. It doesn't count.
We died! If you didn't submit to her, for all we know, that wouldn't have happened.
It's the punishment you all deserved for not listening to me. To her.
Aside from our sulking friend, I don't think you have much to worry about. You're still the one in charge here, and I don't think that's ever going to change. Second he tries something, I'll put a stop to it. Then what happens? Have you even been listening? It's the end is what happens. Yeah, but is there something after the end? How am I supposed to know? The end means finality. It's not like I can just peek on over to the other side and tell you what it's like there, if there even is a there. It doesn't matter because we're going to win. Now that's exactly the sort of mindset I like to see. Don't let yourself be consumed with self-doubt. Don't flirt with oblivion. Just focus on the present and everything will be absolutely fine. Good, we're all on the same page. It isn't long before you find yourself at the end of the path, staring up at the cabin on the hill. You'll find the princess within, as I'm sure you already know. End her. That's it? No final words of advice? I'd rather not waste any more time. I'm sure that any advice I'd give at this point is something you've already heard. That's fine by me. Let's get moving. I'm itching for a rematch. The interior of the cabin is a place that feels long forgotten. There was once an elegance to its construction, carved marble columns holding a high arched roof, vaulted windows letting in the weak starlight. But that is how it was. Now there is a growth that has overtaken it. A viscous fluid seeps from cracks in the stone walls, and it congeals into chaotic streaks of writhing nerves and wet clumps of living meat. That's horrible. You did this. The only furniture of note is a pulsating pedestal, a pristine blade perched on its edge. The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right. A mirror? There is no mirror. There's the pedestal, the blade sitting on the pedestal, and the door to the basement. Just to tell us where the door is. I'd like to get back to fighting, and if you want us to kill her so bad, I'm sure you feel the same. No more messing around. I don't know what to tell you. There isn't a mirror because I would know if there was a mirror. You're either seeing things or you're confused on the definitions of door and mirror. Or you're seeing things. That seems far more likely. What are you trying to say, exactly?
He thinks we've lost it. That we're succumbing to madness, that something in us has broke.
That's an unnecessarily melodramatic way to describe a hallucination, but sure. I'm not going to waste time arguing with any of it. It went away after we touched it last time. Let's just do it again. You take the blade from the pedestal. It would be difficult to slay the princess and save the world with that. Good. Nothing feels better than gripping cold. You step forward and approach the door to the basement, hesitating before you open it. As if you don't see it. You really don't, do you? It really is just like last time. Are we really hallucinating? Why here? Why now?
Smash it. Smash it to pieces. It's the only thing keeping us from her.
Don't you want to know what we'll see in there? We won't be able to see anything if we smash it. Nah, I'm with in on this one. Smash it! Let's get violent! Do whatever you want with it. The mirror isn't real, so how you handle it doesn't matter, aside from wasting dangerous amounts of time. You reach forward and drag your hand across the door leading to the basement. As if on command, it slowly slides open, scraping against the stone floor, its ancient hinges moaning as it reveals the dim path ahead. Why am I not surprised? You step forward to the darkness. The stairs leading down to the basement are at once both narrow and grandiose. The high-vaulted ceiling stretches up into a gloom beyond your sight, while walls wet with tumorous growths press in uncomfortably at your sides. You feel both unprotected and trapped, at once exposed and claustrophobic. The air is thick, its odour an oppressive violence, the metallic scent of fresh blood twisting with the nauseating embers of charred remains. If the princess lives here, slaying her is probably doing her a favour. Her voice, a bellowing rage, roars up the stairs.
Was severing the tendons of my ascension not enough for you? Was it not enough to rend my divine heart? Come, see the horrors you've wrought upon my flesh, and feel my hands set upon your throat.
She's so angry with us. Why? Why did you desecrate her? Why couldn't I stop you?
You've got to stop thinking about her like that. It isn't doing anyone any good. She's not some untouchable god. She's an abomination, and we're going to put an end to her once and for all.
Whatever she is now is our fault. If she's an abomination, then what does that make us?
She was going to end the world last night. If I might interject, you didn't make her into an abomination. She's always been what she is. It's why you're here. It's why your task is so important. You make your way to the bottom of the stairs. The chamber's walls are painted in blood, a deep, sickening red that drips down in clotted streams onto the charred corpses that make up its floor. This place reeks of torment, of ripped skin and burning bone. The princess stands in its centre, muscles flayed and bare and weeping, draped in a tattered dress of her own skin. Her heart beats from its place in her open chest.
Do you know what I'm going to do to you?
There's not so much a moment of hesitation before she steps forward. Her chains pull taut, holding fast as she strains against them. The cuff around her wrist digs deeper into her skin. Blood drips from the place where metal meets flesh. And then, with a nauseating sound, the skin tears. It plops to the ground, and she pulls her red, glistening arm free from her bindings. She is loose, and she is coming for you. Let her end it. It's the punishment you all deserve for what you did to her. It's the punishment I deserve for letting it happen. Screw that. We can win. We've done it before, and we'll do it again. Only this time we'll make it out the other side. Hell, she's practically done most of the work for us.
The world hasn't wronged me the way you have. Maybe I'll get around to it eventually, though. Once I've had my fill of you.
She bounds across the room, her fists ready, her heart set upon your destruction. Horrified squelch. You are unwound.
I hope you weren't planning on dying. We're going to make this last forever. Huh. I feel cold. I I've never felt cold before.
She's gone. Where did she go? Should we try and find her? And there's that mirror again. Why is it here? Why now? There's something dreadful about it. I don't think you should.
Screw the mirror. We just need to find... I don't want to look at us.
You're right.
It's like it's mocking.
I feel anxious. He is. Does that mean the world end?
The world didn't end. We're still here. Come on. We just need to keep...
Figures the world would end and leave us. I'm begging you, don't.
Something finds me in the long quiet and brings me the gift of a fragile vessel. I am solitary lights in an empty city. What are you? Thoughts without connections, a dim and nascent network. I wish to be more. I think that you are like me. We are oceans, reduced to shallow. My roots burrow in an ocean beyond your sight. We cannot harm each other as we are now. She is part of me, and part of me is her. You speak in circles. Does it matter where one thing begins and another ends? How can the world have ended if we are talking? I'm sorry. There are some changes that can never be undone. There are some tears that can never be unshed. This is not a place that can hold a fragment of a concept. The moment she arrived here, she was going to return to me. I promise that it doesn't hurt. You are the only thing I have ever... The space we're in is vacant. I have only just now stirred to consciousness. I could not have trapped you here, and You are familiar, but you are not me. I feel sadness. I know only that they are. Yes, nerves and fibers to feel the worlds beyond. Perspective. This one is desecration. She placed the weight of her agony on you, yet it is she who unwound herself. But there is passion and empathy in her misery. She will make for a burning heart. Do not mourn her. She has finally found peace. Nothing, as we are. But I know that there are worlds beyond us.
and that we are meant to reach them. There is no exit, but this vessel is a creature of perception. She can make you forget, if only you believe her to be able to. Bring me more perspectives, so that I have not lived. More than you have found, but less than there are to find. I am infinite. You ask of things that cannot be done, to destroy. How can I know? I am flickers in something sprawling and unilluminated. Then we will be here forever, as we are now. Everything, until she asks that I tell you to remember her. You won't.
You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin. And in the basement of that cabin is a princess. You're here to slay her. If you don't, it will be the end. That's the spirit. You make your way up the short path to the cabin. A warning. Before you, she will lie. We're not going to go through with this, right? She's a princess. We're supposed to ignore him. He doesn't know what he's talking. The interior of the blade is your implement. You take the blade. The door to the basement creaks open. Her voice.
Who's there?
She sounds dangerous. Don't let it fool you.
Oh, it's been so long since anyone's come down here. I was starting to think they'd forgotten about me.
You walk down the stairs and lock eyes with the princess. She's so cold. Focus on the task at hand.
And there you are. Are you here to kill me or something? Then drop the knife.
We should. It'll go a long way to building trust with her. Don't you dare. It's fine. We can decide what we want to do after we talk to her. Maybe she really isn't. You ignore the trembling in your hands and tighten your grip on the blade.
You poor thing. Your hands are shaking.
You step forward, your grip on the blade tightening as you steel yours.
I'm probably chained up in this basement for a reason, right? And if that knife is the only weapon you have, you'll have to get close enough to use it. So, you should just drop it. Best not to risk finding out what I can do.
She's unarmed. If you hesitate now, it'll be too late. End this. Doubt, unfortunately, clouds your thoughts as you attempt to run her through. A moment of distraction and hesitation is all she needed to sidestep your thrust and deliver a catastrophic blow to your jaw. It feels like you've been hit with a sledgehammer. You can feel bone grinding on bone. Holy shit, that hurt! Though she's unarmed, the shock of that first strike is enough to stagger you, putting you and the princess on somewhat equal footing. Your blade slashes through the air again and again, and her fists connect with your body as many times or more, each impact as heavy as that first bone-crushing hit. We can still turn this around. You and the princess stare at each other, both gasping for breath, equally exhausted. You probably won't make it out of here alive, but you can at least make sure that she won't make it out of here either. Excuse me? Do you think this is what I wanted to happen? I have a duty to state the facts of the situation, and honestly, it's a miracle anyone is still standing right now. Can you not feel all those ruptured organs bouncing around in there? If the princess doesn't do our friend in herself, internal bleeding is certain to finish the job. The two of you clash for the final time. You feel your ribs break as she delivers a heavy blow, but you push through the pain, falling forward and sinking your blade deep into the princess's heart.
Oh.
The two of you fall to the floor.
This was fun.
The princess gasps, her voice an unhealthy rasp as her lungs start to fill with blood.
You put up more of a fight than I thought you would. But I have to wonder, do you really think this is the end?
But you don't have time to worry over such things. Everything goes dark, and you die. You're on a path in the woods. You're here to slay her. I can assure you that you're not dead. And to answer your second question, you're here to... If he doesn't remember what happened, then you know I can hear you, right? That's fine. It doesn't matter if he can hear us. The only thing that matters is marching up to that cabin and winning. That's the spirit. There's no point in squabbling when the real threat... A warning. She will lie. Lying and cheating doesn't sound like her at all. Not that it matters. It's not like... Are you sure about that? The point of my warning wasn't to start an argument over what circumstances the princess is capable of lying in. The princess will do and say whatever she thinks crystal. The cabin is tighter than its exterior would suggest. Its cold stone walls press in on you, as if trying to forcefully direct you towards your destination. The only furniture of note is a black iron altar, with a pristine blade perched on its edge. The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right. You take the blade from the altar. It would be difficult. That's because there isn't a mirror. There's the altar. There's definitely... There isn't. Oh, stop bickering and just get on with it. I care less about that and more about whether we're being lied to. If he's willing to lie about something as innocuous as a mirror, I'm not lying to you. Use your eyes. There is no mirror. The door to the basement creaks open, revealing a rough stone staircase, its walls pressing at your sides and tightening as you descend. The air seeping from below is heavy and oppressive, with an almost... Her fierce voice carries up the stairs.
Is that another challenger? Finally! It's been ages.
This isn't what she sounded like last time. Her voice is a little good. Sounds like my kind of... As much as I appreciate the enthusiasm, just make sure you don't let your bloodlust get to your head. You need to stay focused and keep your wits about you. Remember, you're here to slay the princess, not to have a good fight. As you descend the final step, the form of the princess comes into view. A large shackle leading from her wrist to the basement wall. Looks like she could rip those chains out of the wall without a second thought.
Oh, it's you again. I'd been hoping you'd find your way back here. Good to see that death doesn't stick for either of us. And you brought your little knife, too. Yes! I'm going to have fun breaking you into little pieces. You look exactly the same.
All right. Fine. What? What you said earlier in the woods, I believe you. You've already met the princess, and the princess has already met you. You don't know that whatever brought the two of you back to life isn't a fluke. And beyond that, Do you know who doesn't remember anything that happened last time? Me! Of course I'm not okay! As far as we're all concerned, the fate of my world is still very much on the line. Not all of us have the luxury of jumping over to a parallel universe the second we die.
I want to be free. I want the two of us to fight to the death. I want to feel your knife split my flesh, and I want to hear your bones snap beneath my fists. Is that really too much to ask?
Yeah, especially that last. Don't be such a I'm just being cautious. If it comes to violence, we can find a way to deal with her that doesn't involve throwing our life away. Because it doesn't matter if we die again. We don't know that. Finally ready to complete your destined task, you launch off the wet stone floor of the basement. Here we go. We'll make it count, all right. As you bridge the gap, your blade slashes across the princess's chest, splitting skin and drawing a jagged line of bright red blood. She's unfazed by your onslaught. Her expression barely changes as her fist collides with your ribs, cracking them like twigs. You can hear her chains snap as you struggle to recover from the impact. She almost looks disappointed in us. Why is she disappointed in us?
Oh, you don't actually get it, do you? That knife may be sharp, but you clearly don't want to kill me. It's not fun if you hesitate. It's not fun if you try to trick me and make me bleed out. It's only fun if you go straight for the heart. You need to put everything you have into seeing me dead. Or what's the point? So don't be afraid.
Don't let her get in your head. Reincarnation or not, this world needs you to win. She's huge, but that probably means she's slower than us. Take it slow, think it through. Don't panic. Bleeding her out is our best course of action. Don't listen to them. She understands something that they don't. The only way to win, the only way out of this is through. You push yourself off the ground and attack the princess, trying to bait an opening. Do your best to outplay her, slashing out a red cut in the tattered white dress. But you have little movement to maneuver. For every glancing blow you manage to land, she slams you against the wall in retaliation. Each impact, this weak little dance isn't working. Just toughen up and overpower her. She's throwing us around like a ragdoll. I think overpowering her.
Did you think you could stop me with a few cuts? All this dancing around is doing nothing but annoying me. I own this place, and I own...
The princess's arm shoots forward, her palm wrapping around your head, fingers gripping your skull.
How disappointing.
She squeezes, the pressure unbearable as her fingers dig into your scalp. The last thing you hear is the unsettling crack of your skull, and the sickening churn of what was your grey matter. Everything goes dark. You're on a path in the... If you weren't so damned afraid of what she'd do to you, we wouldn't have died back there. Fear is good. Fear keeps us alive. We died because you didn't have enough of it. So what? You'd have us cower in a corner? No, but that place suits her better than it suits us. She's big. We can't hope to find holes and openings down there. We need more room if we're going to survive. Are you suggesting luring her into the woods? Do you have any idea how dangerous that would be? If you lose sight of her, if she manages to slip away, are you not challenging us on all the looping? Sorry to disappoint what I'm sure must feel like a grand revelation, but that's not what's going on here. We've never met. Then what's going on? It doesn't matter. It's good to know that at least we may have the same destination, but we're not the same. Well, fortunately, you have an entire trip through the woods to... There's nothing to reconsider. We're all for violence, are we? I haven't signed off on it. Violence is the answer here, but the method is equally important to the act. It's like I said, all just circles. Instinct tells me we need space, and I trust. It isn't long before you find yourself at the end of the path, staring up the hill at the cabin. Hope you... No last advice for us? From what I gather, you've heard it all before. I don't know, screaming sounds pretty... Catharsis is for when we're finished. The interior of the cabin is suffocatingly tight, more of a glorified tunnel than a building. Its stone walls squeeze against your sides, leaving you... The blade is your implement. See? We have even less space than before. We need space or she'll kill us. Take it. You take the blade from the altar. Good. You step forward and approach the... All we see is a dam. It's a bit grimy. You bring your fist crashing down against the door leading to the basement. It swings open, scraping against the floor as it reveals the dim path. Before you is what may as well be a sheer cliff face. There are enough footholds that you'll be able to clamber your way to the bottom. The air hissing up from below is warm. Her voice.
Do you have more fight in you than last time? That was such a disappointing show.
Go to her. Rile her up. If she's angry, she'll make mistakes.
But that wouldn't be fun. I don't want to be a monster chasing you down. I want to face you head on.
We need to get closer. You've nowhere to go but down. You start to remember every crack and crevice. We'll need to be faster than her. You turn to face what lies at the end of the narrow tunnel. The princess, imposing and tightly muscled, grins back at you from the darkness. Her face widens into a broad grin.
There you are, knife in hand. How thrilling! Attack me, bleed me.
Can't get that close. She'll kill us in the tight space, steel claw or not. Make her come to us, stand beyond her chains, and let her become frenzied. She'll break them. I really don't like the sound of this. It's the only way we live.
Well, what are you waiting for? If we're gonna do this right, you can't be... So go on. Make the first move. Don't keep me waiting.
You step forward, stopping just outside the reach of her chains. The princess scoffs.
Oh, you're up to something tricky, aren't you? You're teasing me with what I want, but I'm sick of waiting. I'm not going to let you give me another bad fight. I'm going to get what I want.
Bloody desire in her eyes, the princess rushes forward, ignoring her chains as they bend and snap. Run. Without hesitation, you turn back the way you came and scramble up the ladder towards them as you near the top. Hands desperately clawing at jagged stone, you glance back. The princess is right on your heels. She doesn't bother to scale the wall as you do, instead digging deep into the rock of the cliff face with her fingertips in her rabid pursuit.
Anywhere you go,
Good. You reach the ledge and hoist yourself up into the tunnel. The cabin door finally...
What is all of this for? What's the point? You and I are always going to end in violence, so why bother to run? Little bird, little bird.
We're almost there. Don't think about almost. We're there when and we'll take the fight. Your stomach hums tight with adrenaline as you burst through the cabin door and roll. You glance back at the cabin as the princess, singular in her desire to destroy you, explodes through the doorway. You are walking at...
There's nothing left to slow me down. Do you think this is better for you? Do you think this space gives you an edge? Then show me.
Do it! Be swift, strike true, be where she's not, let your body move you.
charging me head on.
Her body braces for impact, anticipating. That's where you're both wrong. Left now. As the princess strikes, your body swerves to the left. She overextends, stumbling as her balance shifts unexpectedly. Strike. Before you can finish the thought, you lash out, the blade slicing through her leg. She turns to swing again. Right. You move out of the way, but this time it's not quite as clean. You can feel a bruise already blooming where her elbow crashed into flesh. It's nothing. A scratch. Yes. It could be worse. And you manage to gift her another cut in return. We're actually going to pull this off, oh? You just might. But don't let it get to your head. Not.
Yes, finally! This is the hole I felt in my heart. This is what I've needed. This is what I've been missing. This is how it.
The two of you engage in a devastating flurry of blows, each of you wielding. She's stronger, but you're faster. And the deeper the both of you fall into your lethal dance, the more your edge shines over hers. She's slowing down. Blood. More. Keep going. We can't stop. You spy an opening. Keep waiting for you. She lets you sink the blade deep, trapping you in place long enough to wrap you in her impenetrable arms. Nothing. These blows are nothing to us. But her gambit wasn't enough to close the gap. It wasn't enough to kill you. She stares you down, coughing up a splash of blood as she gasps for breath.
You felt something feels wrong.
And? Then what happens? She's gone. And there's that mirror.
Flickering lights in empty cityscape. Whenever you are ready, I will. There's nowhere for you to be. I await your return, but it will give me time to reflect. We will meet again.
You're on a path in your here. Seriously? You're just going to turn around and... Good. Well, we ignore that annoying little voice. He doesn't know what he's talking about. That's strange. You're really keen on killing is such a gauche phrasing and complete. But fine. You turn around and trek back down the path you came. Oh, would you look at that? There's always a choice. Let me tell you right now. And here we go. As you trudge into the woods, something strange starts. At first, it's little flickers out of the corner of your eyes. Glimpses of... But as you focus on your surroundings, you start to realize that those flickers weren't just a trick. In every direction, there is a path and a cabin. And not just a cabin. The cabin. An infinite fractal of paths and cabins desperately trying to draw you back to where you need. Wait, what's going on? You're too stubborn for that, aren't you? It doesn't matter how many paths or cabins appear around you, you're just going to do whatever you can to shirk your responsibility because you care more. You've doomed us all, you know that, right? But of course you do. Otherwise you wouldn't just wander off into the forest. You lose track of just how long you spend aimlessly tromping through the wilderness. But it's not like any of that time spent lost in the wood. You're on a you're here. A warning. She will lie. If we're stuck, ignore him. Let's... The cabin interior is wrong. A confusing patchwork of many cabin interiors, all projected across what's almost the only furniture of note is a plain table. The blade. If he wants us to take it, maybe we should know. We're taking. I've already. You can't just listen to me. And if you're nothing. Just ignore. How? I'm not going to. Yes. Take what you're saying. Okay. Good. You take the blade. Okay. Then how we? The other. It really. Great. You keep your. The door to the basement creaks open. Nothing here seems to belong. The air here. If the princess, her voice.
Hello? Hi. What are you doing here? Are you here?
No, thank you. Oh, don't be such a. I don't want to do. But we already tried. And what's the fate of the girl still? You step to the right, but the further you go, the softness threatens slow going. But you manage to fight against the overwhelming urge to fall back into comfort. You slowly lose sense of yourself. Time, physical sensations dull, and then consumption and betrayal.
Are you okay?
What the hell was that? What happened to us? I feel so strange. Like, oh well, that was a trip. But like the princess. Eyes bright but otherwise shrouded in darkness, watches you impatiently from the other side of the basement. Don't forget why you're here. And, why are we here again? You're here to... He's just being an ass. We remember.
You can call me Princess, if you'd like.
You can address me as Your Royal Highness, or Her Majesty. Any honorific should do.
As the princess speaks again, it's almost as if she fractures. And where there was once just one of her, there is now another. We can do that? I don't like this. It's those cabins all over again. Again? Have you been? Should we tell him? Nah, let him stew. Right, I'm telling him. Yeah, until... It's hard to describe. Until the only thing we could see was the same cabin going on forever. And then you told us that the world ended and we died. And then we woke up, and I'm pretty sure you're familiar with all the rest of it. It seems to me like you saw something you weren't supposed to have seen. If only you'd listened to whatever you saw last time. Ooh, new plan. Wait, that's not right. Go on. Take a step forward. Your foot lands, but it lands different. You can feel yourself rupture. The room spins, your perception multiplying in a sickening kaleidoscope as your very self is pulled in incomprehensibly many directions. All at once you charge forward, not feeling to throw the princess just as you strike at her bindings and leave her to languish alone. Is this what the end of the world looks like? What an unbearable mess. But this... we can't... Do you not have anything witty to say? I could use a good bit of wit right now. No, I don't, because this... Luckily for all, nothing and everything doesn't go on forever. The world falls apart. I think he's gone. We were never going to salvage this, were we?
What happened to us? What are we? There are parts of us that are dead, and others... We can feel them moving around in spaces. Did you do this? Did we do this? Can you pull us?
We should help her. How surprising. I didn't actually think our actions had consequences. It's a little late for regret.
Please.
She's gone. And is that a...
I am a growing chorus of all of me is changing. time for us to meet again.
You're on a path